What up, dudes? It's Gaz, and welcome back to another Warframe video. So we have another episode this week in Warframe. We're going the entire weekly reset. And yeah, summer event starts this Wednesday. Get ready for a squirt gun fight in the Dog Days event. Additionally, Caliban Prime's release date should be announced this Wednesday, but it's not officially released yet. If you enjoy these types of videos, weekly reset videos, all that kind of stuff, make sure you're subbed to the channel. Daily Warframe video uploads. We're going to have build videos from Incarnons and frames throughout the week, and a Dog Days guide, because it is technically changed this year. But first things first, we got some weekly reset stuff here to check out. We got the Rifle Rivet Monetization for 75 skill lessons, and also some Kuva down there as well. So yeah, Wednesday is when the Dog Days event starts, and there will be a new Universal Hammer skin. I almost say Universal Melee skin. Sadly, the Pool Noodle skin that we'll be getting on Wednesday will only work for hammers, but on the bright side, if you've never grinded the Dog Days summer event before, they're reducing the prices of all the items that you can buy from the special vendor, so it should be less grinding than usual. Additionally, if you don't want to do the squirt gun fight that we'll be covering on Wednesday, you actually will have a special alert every weekend in August to get guaranteed pearls. I guess like 170, 175 pearls. And yeah, like there's a fish ephemera, all this good stuff, so keep an eye out for Wednesday's video covering that event in depth. Moving on to the next weekly vendor here, we got the Dorma Zone. If you grinded the 8 Claw event and got a bunch of Pathos clamps, here's your prize that you'll be getting over time. This week we've got a Rifle Ribbon mod and a Shotgun Ribbon mod for Pathos clamps. Beyond that, there's some Exilus Warframe adapter and a secondary Archon adapter. But yeah, mainly go for the ribbons with all those Pathos clamps. Moving on, as I stated, I do think that Caliban Prime's release date will be announced on Friday. With no official information, I'm just going off of what DE's been stating on Twitter. Or not Twitter, Reddit, and other social media platforms. There are no more hotfix until the next Prime launch, and that will likely be in 2 weeks. So they're not going to have no hotfixes for that long. Alright, moving on to the calendar here, we've got the first challenge as follows. For your first buffs, you got Emergency Medicine, Punch Card, and Bottled Lightning. Bottled Lightning is probably the strongest out of these three, but Emergency Medicine can be decent as well. First, loot drops a guaranteed green shard, pretty nice, or a Archon Catalyst blueprint. You can basically buy Archon Catalyst for 20 plat, but you can't buy green shards, so grab the green shard instead. Next, you've got break some containers for a guaranteed Riven mod, so looking like a pretty good loot drop to start your calendar this week. You can technically grab one Arcane instead if you want, but it's not going to be an Arcane hotshot, so I'd say don't even bother. Next, you've got a Exilus Weapon Adapter Blueprint, so takes a lot of stuff to build this, kind of rough, or a Singular Arcane. These are some pretty not great options on this tier, but I'd say probably go for the Blueprint of the Exilus Weapon Adapter. Next drop of buffs after that is going to be Magnetic Menace, Friendly Fallout, and Combo Killer. These are some of the weaker buffs in the game, so just basically go for whichever one sounds the best to you. But yeah, Melee, AoE Rad procs, and then Magnetic procs pull enemies in. It's not as good as it sounds, unfortunately. Actually, wrong. Every 5 abilities is a magnetic proc. Okay, every 5 abilities gives a mag bubbles, what it actually means. They should change the description of this. After that, you got some birthdays to celebrate, and a fully built Forma is one of your options, or 2 Arcanes that cannot be Arcane hotshot. Go for that Forma for sure. For your final page here, let's see how many loot drops we got. We got a fully built Forma or a Reactor Blueprint. And for your buffs, you got Broaden Horizons, giving increased ability range when picking up an orb. Emergency Medicine, giving increased, all of our certain effects are increased by 25%. Or Practice Precision, giving crit chance for melees. For your final stuff here, you got a Exilus Weapon Adapter Blueprint or an Exilus Warframe Adapter fully built. So I'd say you're already going to have an Exilus Weapon Adapter Blueprint earlier this week. So go for the fully built. So yeah, honestly, looking at the loot this week, we're not doing too bad. A fully built Exilus adapter, 2 fully built Forma. This is not too bad this week, so I'd say definitely worth grinding it out. Also guaranteed green shard too. One of the better calendar weeks we've gotten in quite a while after they nerfed the loot from it. All right, moving on to the Elite Temporal Archimedia. Let me just remind you, this requires rank 5 with the Hex Syndicate to get access to this mission on a weekly basis. A great place to get combined Tau Archon shards. Alright, so moving on to the weeklies here, we got the missions as follows. Exterminate, Defense, and the final boss fight. A little bit rough as far as the mission types this week, with Defense being one of the ones that players don't like. We also have Corrupted Flesh returning, unfortunately. And the final boss fight is going to have Let's just go over all this stuff. Okay, so for starting with Exterminate here, the first mission, Sealed Armor is your first modifier. As far as the modifiers on it, enemies take less damage from non-weak point hits. 95% less damage from non-weak point hits, so you have to get headshots, basically. Next, Myopic Munitions. Enemies only take damage with a player within 15 meters of them, so it has to be a close-range headshot to even do any amount of damage at all. And lastly, Entanglement. Allies within 4 meters of the enemy have reduced movement and parkour velocity, so you're just basically moving a lot slower. This will be the free mission. The other two should be the ones that are giving you more of an issue here, such as Defense. The first one, Noise Suppression. Drones fly above the defense objective, spraying them with a Fervon gas. So they'll be taking damage relatively frequently as you don't clear those balloons. But Entanglement's also back again, giving you reduced movement speed when near a dead enemy. But the one that might give you a real trouble here is Corrupted Flesh. Tekra enemies are infused with a Fervon and take damage over time. They explode when killed and leave behind deadly a Fervon in their wake. This modifier has ruined some people's runs. Now, it was bugged out like 2 or 3 weeks ago. It's been bug fixed at this point, but I've gotten reports it still does a lot of damage. So, your best case will be just keep the enemies away from the objective. Don't let them even get near the objective, because if they die in the objective, it could potentially be a problem for you. Spectres that give DR, like the Ancient Healer Spectres, help you a lot here. Or just clearing it out. Like, have Frost bubble up, have Mags, ulti, CCing everything. Just keep them away from the objective and you'll be fine. And for the last one here, the Assassination against the tank, modifiers as follows. Reinforcements. You'll have more enemies spawning during the fight. First, Scaldra, then Tekrot. Second, Heavy Warfare. Enemies take 95% less damage from non-heavy weapons. Oof. Enemies will drop heavy ammo packs and reduce heavy call time by 5 seconds. Okay, so you have to use your heavy Arcwing guns. So I recommend the Kuva Grattler if you have that. If you have the Mausolon, which comes with the Necromech like already, the Mausolon will be great. But yeah, the Kuva Grattler and the Mausolon are going to be some of your best bets. There's other ones too, but that's going to be some of the ones that most people have. For the last one, It's Alive. While on the underground, hostile overgrowths will attack players as they stop moving. Hope it does not work during the boss fight, because that sounds very annoying, and also, I don't remember there being an underground part of this fight, so, or an underground part of this mission, so that should be an interesting situation for sure. Make sure you stop at the stream if you haven't already to check that one out later. And for the modifiers, for individual modifiers, personal, ammo deficit. Ammo restores from drops is reduced by 75%, and gear, yikes, that's, if you have to use your heavy Arcwing gun, that's not going to be what you want to be having active. Fractured armor. Each ability will reduce your armor by 10% for 10 seconds. Undersupplied. What are these evil modifiers this week? We have to use Arcwing guns and we have no ammo? Undersupplied. Max ammo on all weapons reduced by 75%. Oh my gosh, what? And the last one, Transference Distortion. No operators allowed. Okay, so that is a really rough final mission right there, as far as it looks like reading it before trying it out. Double ammo debuffs, and you have to use heavy Arcwing guns, which have bad ammo in the first place. So have fun with that one. That should be an interesting one for sure. Reminder, if you need some more ammo drops, Dispensary ability from Protea is a helmet that can give you universal ammo packs, although it's probably not going to give you enough to really sustain through the fight. So, yeah. Stop at the stream if you want to check that one out. I didn't even see what loot I have as far as my frame options, but, oof. Okay, moving on to the next planet here. We have the Elite Deep Archimedia, a place that you can get a bunch of extra loot, or a bunch of other good loot per week, such as combined red Archon shards, which are my personal favorite, giving things like power, strength, and duration. Purple shards are good too, but I think I've got enough purple shards in this. You can't defuse shards. So if you have a bunch of purple shards and not a bunch of red shards, you can't really go back. Alright, moving on to this, though. Let's see what missions we got this week. So, another similar week to the ETA. We have the boss fight in this week. And it's also the Relentless Tide again. So, you can actually farm Stella for another week. Hooray! So, hopefully you didn't farm 100,000 Stella last week like some people did. But yeah, the mission modifiers are going to be as follows for these. We got Exterminate, Alchemy, and Assassination. First mission for Exterminate, you got Fissure Cascade. Fissures rip into the mission, cause enemies to level up over time, destroy the fissure to make them stop leveling up. It doesn't really matter. The enemy's level doesn't really matter that much in these missions. Next, Explosive Potential. Rupturing fragments replace shuffling fragments. The arm enemies will explode now. Keep an eye out for those. And the last one, Devil's Bargain. With your near a dead enemy, you'll basically drain your ammo really fast. Increase fire rate and reduce ammo efficiency. Alchemy, everyone's favorite mission that they bring, feels like pretty often. With one of my personal least favorite modifiers, Alchemic Invulnerability. 10% of the enemies are immune to damage unless you throw the proper amphor at them. So if they have a toxin icon above their head, you must throw a toxic grenade at them to make them damageable. It just ends up being a bunch of immune enemies standing around, and you're just, like, doing the objective normally. So, yeah, whatever. Immune enemies all over the place. Next, Bold Venture. Enemies deal less damage and take increased damage, but also have increased movement, attack speed, and fire rate. So they just basically attack you faster, but also die faster. Like, they have, like, Speed Nova a little bit. And then Fortified Foes. Guardian Maximus units may be encountered, including Guardian Maximus mechs. Alright, so we got the Stella Farm this week. Let's see what the modifiers of the Stella Farm are. So if you didn't know why this is a Stella Farm, you basically have the Relentless Tide modifier on this Temple Archimedia, or this Deep Archimedia, and what that means is that it will spawn enemies in the final fight constantly. So we're talking like some of the craziest enemy spawns you can get in Warframe, and they actually drop the Stella loot. Lets you infuse Archon shards up. Okay, so if you want to do this, I have a guide on it on YouTube, but basically bring a Korra for big loot increases. Necros does not give loot fast enough. So you got Korra Strangledom Augment mod, and then bring nuker frames like Sevagoth or whoever. Just basically the same thing as last week, just nuke them down constantly. And try to keep the boss alive for a while, too. Entanglement, allies within 4 meters of the dead enemy will have reduced movement speed, and then post-mortal surges. This might be a little bit dangerous. Enemies explode when killed with void energy, so constant enemy spawns, but also constant explosions. Have fun with that one and get a bunch of Stella. Frame Curse Syndrome is your first personal modifier. Activating ability does 50 damage to you. Ability Overload, using the ability opens a Void Rift. Fraction Armor, casting ability reduces your armor. And Gear Embargo, no gear allowed. You can honestly farm thousands and thousands of Stella from that mission easily if you do want to do that. You don't need that much Stella usually, but yeah, if you do want to grab it, go ahead. For Bird 3's Guaranteed Shard, you got a Amber Archon Shard. This will require rank 5 with the Kavia Syndicate to obtain that. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and move on to the Incarnons and the Archon Hunt. The Nightwave is still going, but don't worry about the Night. There's no rush in the Nightwave. We're going to be having this Nightwave season for months and months, I'm assuming. Alright, so as far as the Archon Hunt, we've got the mission as follows. Red Archon, so getting some Archon shards for power strength, but the mission types are Sabotage, Excavation, and the Final Boss Showdown. For your Incarnons and Deviri stuff, let's see what we got. Alright, so for your circuit frames, you've got Nidus, Octavia, and Hera. Wow, this is kind of nice. I wish this stuff was in the game when I was trying these things out, but yeah. Nidus, Octavia, and Hera are all relatively annoying to farm, so you basically have your work cut out for you picking one of them. My least favorite, personally, is Nidus. He comes from Infested Salvage. Octavia comes from multiple missions, but you have to do a quest for her as well, and Hera comes the Chains of Hera quest, and also multiple different spots. Their helmet abilities are Condemn from Hera, which gives you shields and chains enemies up. Resonator from Equinox, or from Octavia, which makes the disco ball that makes enemies follow it, and Larva from Nidus. Larva from Nidus lets enemies be pulled in and then easily killed, basically. I'd recommend you go for Nidus here. I just have horrible memories of farming Nidus, but if you do want to dodge some other annoying farms, Octavia and Hera are great choices this week. I'd just go for Nidus, I'd say. None of the helmets are really needed, but I just have such terrible memories of farming him that I'd recommend you go for that one. For the Steel Path circuit this week, you got the Incarnons as follows. Bow Incarnon, Latron Incarnon, Furus Incarnon, Furax Incarnon, and Strun Incarnon. You got some great weapon choices this week. Let me just say that before we talk about these. Some of the best guns in the game are available here, like the Latron and the Furus. But we'll talk about all these do so you can get the best informed decision. Alright, first thing, so we got the Bow Incarnon here. This is a staff weapon, and unfortunately, the Pool Noodle skin will not work on this staff weapon. Really unfortunate. But the reason that you use this thing is for a massively far range hitting melee, with the melee influence arcane giving even more range. So, yes, once you go to Incarnon form with this bow, it gets 4 meters of extra range on the attacks, and you throw on a range ribbon, and like a little bit of this, a little bit of that, you have like a 15-meter range melee. So if you throw on melee influence, another 20 meters on top of that, it's like a 30-meter AoE melee, so not too bad. As far as some of the perks on here, gives you a ton of status chance increase with Absolute Dominion. But yeah, it's mainly used as an elemental weapon for melee influence, pretty much. So get a minus impact rate if possible, because it's a very highly impact weighted weapon. Just have some fun. So pretty powerful. As far as, like melees go, this is on a high level of hitting enemies very far away. But still, there's some meta guns this week, so I'd say it's lower priority versus the meta guns. Speaking of meta guns, we got one of them right here, the Latron Incarnon. The Latron Wraith and the Latron Prime are extremely powerful choices. The Latron Wraith has slightly higher crit chance, but the Latron Prime has a little bit lower crit chance, but higher status and base damage. And they are very similar besides those differences I just listed for you. That being said, they both one-shot level 10,000s, and this Incarnon form weapon, after some headshots, will be able to launch bouncing fireballs that do really, really high damage. They also got built-in fire damage, so with perks like Critical Parallel, giving crit chance and crit damage, very powerful. Also, you get some built-in armor with Flensing Spikes. Remove 20% of the enemy's armor per puncture proc. The thing is, we're pretty much power crept past armor strip a lot of the time nowadays, so just go for Critical Parallel in my opinion. But yeah, a really, really great primary weapon. If you want a nice, reliable weapon that is semi-auto in nature, you can grab this thing. Don't forget, though, there's the semi-auto, full auto setting in Warframe. You can make this thing full auto very easily. Speaking of full auto, we got one of the best pistols in the entire game right here. The Furious Incarnon on this thing is a jet engine. And once you get some headshots, it becomes a jet engine, like I was just saying. So it's basically a normal, generic full auto pistol. Add some headshots, transform it, and now you just incinerate the entire hallway in one shot. So, yeah, that being said, even with like minimal investment, just put on the Furious normal, not the Mark 1 Furious. The Mark 1 Furious can work too. But yeah, go watch my Wisp video with the Furious. You can incinerate high-level enemies in one bullet. Great perks on here, like Elemental Balance, Storm Burst, giving increased multi-shot after hitting an enemy that's hit by electric proc. So basically, you throw on a Wisp mote shocks enemies, and you hit them with this, and now you get built-in multi-shot because you're playing Wisps. Very, very good. It's a lot of multi-shot too. 120% increased multi-shot from that perk. So yeah, one of the best pistols in the game. Only thing it has is maybe an issue is the range. It's like maybe like Arca-Plasmor range-ish, maybe a little bit lower range than that. Unlike other weapons like the Dual Tox are pretty much sniper pistols, this thing has limited range, but very powerful in that range. Firax Incarnon, one of the least important cards in the game, because the Firax Wraith and Mark 1 Firax could do the things that we usually use them for without the Incarnon upgrader. That being said, what is that thing we're using them for? We're using Amalgam Firax body count to increase the fire rate of secondaries. Now, you can use this weapon for other things besides that, but yeah, like I said, this is not, you don't need the Incarnon for this. It's a special mod that comes from the Ropalolas boss fight. It gives you more fire rate on your pistols if you have this equipped on your Firax. But what does the Incarnon do if you want to go and use this thing for an actual weapon DPS? Well, it gives you a special attack after a 6x combo multiplier that lets you do heavy slam efficiency, so you basically spam slams with infinite combo, and those slams leave behind a fire field that does like 100 damage. It does like pretty much no damage at all, so don't worry about the damage part of the Incarnon ability. Worry about the heavy efficiency part of the special ability, which lets you just slam heavy slams. Now, that being said, heavy slams got nerfed pretty hard. Unless you jump really high in the air, the range is terrible. So yeah, it's definitely the lowest one this week. It's below the bow for sure. Because not only do you not need the Incarnon, but the thing that we were using it for, heavy slams, got relatively nerfed. So yeah, I'd say last place for sure this week. And the Strut Incarnon's our last one here, with a pellet shotgun becoming a rocket launcher after some headshots. It's also a fire rocket launcher, so if a built-in impact or a minus impact riveting can become a purely fire launcher. Get hundreds of heat procs in one shot. This thing's really strong. Now, the reason this is not going to be number one is because the Furious is viewed by a lot of players like one of the top one or top two in the entire game, whereas the Strun and the Latron, they're more like fighting against each other as far as which one's more viable. I'd say if you want to use a extremely hard-hitting shotgun, go for the Strun, but if you want a rifle that has some precision to it, but also some AoE as well, go for the Latron. If I was picking these right now, I'd say go number 1, Furious, number 2, Latron, but there's really nothing wrong with going number 1, Furious, number 2, Strun, and then maybe eventually getting the Latron later down the line. As far as 4th, 5th place, all that stuff, bow will be after whatever gun you just grabbed after that, and the last one's easily the Furax, just very, very unimportant as far as the game's concerned. Hope that was helpful to you guys. Let's move on to the Nightwave Challenges and see what we got on this random Nightwave week like right now. Your challenges will be as follows. We got Explorer, complete 3 Railjack missions. Ollie Oop, complete the Ollie's Crash Course race. So that is going to be the new thing in 1999, Halvania Mall. Just go to like the little motorcycle things, and you can do this mini game that's pretty fun, actually. First Elite Weekly is Resource Scavenger. Collect 20 different resources. Easy. Walk without rhythm. Kill a Tusk Thumper Doma in the Plains Violin. The strat that I remember doing this for was doing the do the Narmer bounty, and it seemed like the Thumpers that spawn there are like always like the high level Doma Thumpers. So yeah, go ahead and kill those in the Narmer mission and use like a Necromech to kill them. Your permanent weeklies, Activist Eliminator, Mission Complete, and Not a Warning Shot are still here. For your credit offering store, we got a Dante helmet. That's pretty nice. I got a Dante helmet. We got some Evergreen stuff at the top. We got a Kalervo helmet, which is nice. Not seeing any Arcane helmets, but they sometimes accidentally bring those. But yeah, just pretty much standard stuff here. As far as your augment mods and aura mods here, we got Sentient Barrage, Wild Frenzy, Metamorpho Magazine for the Gorgon. Looks like not a ton of other stuff that's that great. Volatile Variants, very good for the Sporothrix, as is Napalm Grenades for the Penta. And we've also got Loot Detector and Holster Amp, which are pretty good. As far as your Mastery Fodder stuff, you've got the Dark Sword down here, just the normal Dark Sword. You also got Power 3 for Ivara, Prism Guard for Mirage, which is a very interesting mod, and Purging Slash for X-Scale. Now that we've gone over that, that's probably your entire weekly reset, unless I forget anything important, which I don't think I did, because we went over the Archon hunt. But yeah, guys, keep an eye out for the new event on Sunday. Oh, it's not new. It's the returning event on Wednesday. And also keep an eye out for Caliban Prime release date announcement later in the day. It will probably, the way that Wednesday's will probably go, I'll be covering the new hotfix early in the morning, and then around 2 p.m., expect DE to announce Caliban Prime launch. So I'll see you guys on stream. Come on, stop by for the Omniformal Bundle giveaway. Come on, stop for the weekly. Let's go see how bad that tank fight is, honestly. And I'll see you guys in the next video as well. Take it easy, guys. Peace.